I'm going to put my. Huh? Oh.
Hello?
Hi, salam everyone. Hello. Can you hear me? Hi. All good?
Hi.
Hi. Nice.
Hi,
Good.
Mr.
Hello.
Hi. Hi everyone. Salam. Salam. Very nice to see all of you back. So today we again have an
Bye.
yes. So how was physics yesterday? People, those who joined. All of you enjoyed physics yesterday? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, can you all hear me?
Yes,
Mr.
Okay, great. So I was just asking how was the physics session yesterday? Did you enjoy it?
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. So what I have done is I have uploaded I've uploaded the physics on our channel, and I will share the link. Okay. So all of you go through that, because we will be having the test this Saturday. So few topics will be covered from there. Okay. I will share the link. I've already uploaded. Great. So today we'll begin with biology. I would just invite ma'am to come online. Dipti ma'am, you're there?
Yes, I'm there, sir. I'm there.
Okay, ma'am, great.
Yeah.
So again, all your students are back to learn
Yeah,
biology.
good to see everyone. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So, ma'am, I'm making you the co-host, okay, so that you can easily continue. One second.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I've done it, ma'am. You can start. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so students, how are you all? And how were your exams, and you are back after the examination? Okay. So now you will be moving on towards the 9th grade, right? Yes, what happened?
Yes.
Yes, I want everyone to please respond when I'm talking to you. Okay, so you are moving on to the 9th grade now. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we will just revise the concepts which you have already done. Okay, you are aware of the things. Mostly the topics like you have biology and technology, cell biology, human health, human biology and health. These topics are common, and you have these topics in the 9th grade also, but they are given in a descriptive way. You have more description given about the concepts in 9th grade. Okay, Cell biology, you are studying it from 7th standard onwards. You have studied in 7th standard, you have studied in 8th grade also, and in 9th grade also you have this topic, cell biology. Okay, so before we study the content of cell biology in the 9th grade, let us just brush up our knowledge what we have done in 7th and 8th grade, right? So do you want to revise one so that you can grasp the things quickly then later on? Yes, students?
Yes.
Okay, so I will just share my screen with you. Just a minute. Okay, so we are going to today study about cell structure and function. Okay, now before we proceed towards this, I just want to know from you, what is a cell? Okay, we will revise each and every basic concept which we have studied. Okay, so what is a cell?
Can I answer?
Yes. Yes, Fikir? Please say.
Cell is a building block of life.
Cell is
A building block of life.
a building block of life. Yes, very good. Right, you are. Okay. Cell is the building block of life and it is the basic unit which makes the life. Okay, now do you remember who has coined this term cell? Who coined the term cell?
Can you please repeat what you just said?
Who has given the name cell first time? Who coined the term cell?
Robert Hooke.
Yes, Robert Hooke, correct. Now, Robert Hooke, what did he observe for the first time and how he gave that name?
Can I answer?
Yes.
He gave this definition because he saw that a cell is just a little blocked house, kind of.
Okay, a cell, it contains, why he gave the name? You remember? You forgot, I think. Why Robert Hooke has given the, how, means what did he observe? That I am
Does it
asking.
mean small room?
Okay, a cell means a small room. See, once what happened when Robert Hooke was examining the cork of the tree. Okay, the cork of the tree, when he was examining under the his magnifying glass, he could observe that that cork was made up of some structure which appeared as compartments, which looked like rooms. Okay, and everything, it all these compartments were similar. So he coined the term as a cell. Okay, he gave the name to that compartment as a cell because cell means what? A room. But the cells which he had observed were all the dead cells. Okay, those were all dead cells. So this is how the discovery of cell has begun. Okay, Robert Hooke, for the first time, he observed the cell, which was the dead cell. Now, let us move on towards the cell. As we know that cell is the basic component, okay, basic and the fundamental unit of life. So without a cell, a body cannot be formed. Like to make a wall, bricks are required. All the bricks compactly when they are arranged, then only a wall is formed. So here in this picture, you all can see that how the bricks are combined to form a wall, how all the bricks will assemble to form a wall. In the same way, in our body or in any animal body, the cells will be united. All the cells, they will combine and they will form the organism. Okay, so cell is called as the basic structural and the functional unit of life. This already you have studied. Yes, you remember this now, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let us see about the organization of the cell. Okay, how the cell is organized in the body. Just a minute, let me just remove this. Yeah. So a cell combines to form, few cells will combine to form a tissue. The way of organization of the cell, if you look at the cells, they will combine to form a tissue, and the tissues they combine to form a organ, and various organs they combine to form the organ system, which you have seen already. And the organ systems, all of them will unite to form the organism. Yes, you remember this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
now,
we did.
yes. Now I want you to tell me any other organ system which is formed by the union of these cells. Any other organ system?
Organelle.
Yeah, any other. See, in this diagram, you can see that the digestive system is formed by the union of the organ like stomach. Okay. So can you just tell me what are the different organs involved in the digestive system? Which organs will combine to form the digestive system?
Stomach and intestine and kidney.
Kidney will be coming in the digestive system. Kidney is a part of
respiratory.
respiratory.
Circulatory.
My
No, that's
Mouth, stomach,
kidneys are not
Rib
tongue, trachea.
system.
yes. Kidney, to tell me which system the kidney belongs to. Kidney belongs to which particular system?
Circulatory.
Circulatory? No, it belongs
Oh,
to the
excretory.
system. Excretory system. Okay.
Excretory.
See, in the body, what happens? We have, you know, you might be knowing about the systems like the digestive system, the respiratory system, the circulatory system. Now, these systems, they all will be having certain organs involved. Like the digestive system, it begins from the mouth, it contains the esophagus. Then after the esophagus, we have the stomach. Okay. Then after the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, the liver, the pancreas. These are the various organs. Okay. All these organs, they will unite to form the organ system. Okay. So we can see that the organs, they are uniting to form the organ system. And in turn, this each organ is made up of tissues. There are a number of tissues in each organ. And each tissue is in turn made up of a cell. So that's why we say that cell is the basic structural and the functional unit of life. Okay. Each organism basically is made up of a cell. Is this point clear to everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know about Robert Hooke. We have seen that he has first discovered the cell and he has coined this term. Now let us talk about some organisms. Okay, and see, in each organism we said that every organism is made up of a cell, but each organism will be comprising the cells of different sizes. The cell will be having a different shape, and each organism can contain just one cell, or the organism can contain more than one cell. So depending upon the number, shape and size, again the cells can be divided. See, some organisms, they contain only one cell. Can you give me some examples of animals which are made up of only one cell?
Amoeba.
Amoeba, yes,
Bacteria.
bacteria,
Yeast.
yeast, okay. So,
Yeast.
Igula.
okay, euglena. What do we
Euglena.
call these animals which are made up of only one cell? What do we call them?
Unicellular organisms.
Correct. They are called as the unicellular organisms. So unicellular organisms are the ones which are made up of only one cell. Examples are amoeba, paramecium, euglena, the different bacteria. Those are all the unicellular organisms. Now, for any organism to exist, they need to perform some basic life processes, some important functions, right? Every organism needs energy to survive. So that energy they get from nutrition. So nutrition is a very important process, right? Then afterwards, respiration is also a very important process. Circulation is also a very, very important process. Excretion is also a very important process. And reproduction is also a very important process. So these are all the life processes which are carried out in each and every organism. So you just imagine that organisms like amoeba or euglena, which are having only one cell, will they be able to perform all these activities? Will they be able to perform digestion, excretion, respiration, circulation? What do you think? Yes? Will they be able to perform all the activities? Can you hear me?
No.
You're not able to hear me? Yes? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes.
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 Okay, then tell me.
No.
They all are not going to.
Hello, we didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Your sound is not clear.
I asked that amoeba, paramecium, euglena, they are made up of only one cell. Then do you think they will carry on all the other life processes?
Like
Like digestion, circulation, excretion, will they carry
No.
out? They are made up of only one cell.
No. No.
No, actually you all are wrong. They can do. See, every organism to survive, it needs to digest the food. It needs to respire. It needs to reproduce. It needs to excrete the waste organisms. So whether the organism is unicellular or multicellular, it has to perform all these basic functions. Okay.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yes.
Can't really hear your voice. Can you speak a little louder, please?
I am speaking to the top of my voice. Am
Okay,
I
thank you.
audible now to you? Am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So, these unicellular organisms can also perform all the activities. That means in the cell, there is a proper organization of the different functions which are to be performed. Okay, so in your eighth grade, you have studied about different unicellular organisms, like you have studied about amoeba in detail, right? You have studied about paramecium, you have studied about euglena, you studied about bacteria. Do you think they don't reproduce? They don't digest the food? You remember their body structure, how it was? Yes?
They do.
Yes.
They do. They can even move. That means these organisms are able to perform all the activities which the multicellular organisms can also do. But there is a little bit variation in the way they do the things. Okay. So number of the cells doesn't matter. Organism is going to perform all the functions. Then the shape of the cells also will be very different. Okay. Some of the cells will be spherical in shape. Some cells will be spindle shaped, some will be elongated, some will be rounded, some will be branched. Okay, so different shapes of the cells, you all might be knowing about that. Yes. Then cells, they can be observed only under the microscope. They are microscopic. Okay, even Robert Hooke has used the magnifying glass to see the cells. They were not visible to the naked eye. So they are all microscopic, and the largest cell on the earth is that of the egg of the ostrich, and the smallest one is the bacterial cell. Now let us see the different shapes of these cells. Okay, these are the unicellular organisms, amoeba. Okay, in amoeba, now you tell me, students, you have studied about amoeba, no? Right? You studied about amoeba in the 8th grade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how does amoeba move from one place to another?
Using its
How does it
pseudopodia.
move?
Using its pseudopodia.
Pseudopodia. Very good. And what are these pseudopodia? What are these pseudopodia?
It moves by pushing its cytoplasm up to the direction
Yes.
that it wants to move.
Correct, Faven. Very good. Pseudopodia are actually the projections of the cytoplasm only. These are pseudo means false, podia means feet. They are actually the false feet in the animal, pseudopodia. Okay, so whenever amoeba sees any food or any other bacteria which can be engulfed by it, it pushes its cytoplasm towards that, and these finger-like structures which are formed, they are called as a pseudopodia, and they will be going around that organism and they will engulf it. That means amoeba also needs food. It has a digestive system within the single cell, which I was telling you just now. Okay, and then in amoeba, the waste material will be thrown out of the body through the contractile vacuole. Okay, and amoeba also respires because due to a process of, how does amoeba respire? Do you know? How does it respire? Yes? Yes, Pavan?
It reproduces asexually by binary fusion.
By binary fusion, it reproduces. Very good. And respiration, what about respiration? It's breathing, how it breathes? Anyone? See, respiration in amoeba is exchange of gases should occur. It also requires oxygen and it produces carbon dioxide. So the exchange of gases in amoeba takes place through the process of diffusion. In your 9th grade, no, you are going to study about this process of diffusion in detail. Okay, diffusion is a very, very important activity which is carried out in a cell. What is it exactly and how it happens and why is it so important to the cell? All these details you are going to study about in the 9th grade. Okay, when you study about cell biology. So in amoeba, respiration occurs through the body's surface and that process is called as the diffusion. So amoeba is unicellular and we have just now that it performs digestion, it performs excretion, it performs respiration, it even reproduces. So even that single cell is able to do all the activities like that of a multicellular organism. Okay, the next organism now which you can see here, which is this organism you are able to see? This is the paramecium. Okay.
Paramecium.
Paramecia. Okay. So even the paramecia reproduces, right? It also shows binary fission.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Can it digest the food? Does it take the food? Yes, of
No,
course. It doesn't. Does it move?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
It does
By its
move.
yes.
By its
Ma'am.
feet. Yes.
Ma'am, hi. Just enable my screen. I'll just show them a small video on Zoorophodia. How they eat. Just enable
Okay.
screen sharing.
Okay, sir. Wait. I'll. I have done that, sir.
Yes, I'm sharing. Hi, can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So this is how what ma'am was explaining, right? How do they eat?
And microalgae by the same procedure that we learned earlier, that is pseudopodia. What happens is the amoeba extends its arms, that is their false feet, pulls in the food towards themselves within their cytoplasm and engulfs them inside their food vacuole. Now what does engulf mean? It means like a hugging posture. They take in the food vacuole and certain enzymes are released by their body. This helps them digest the food. Later on, the food is digested and the remaining is removed through the same procedure of pseudopodia. This method of eating is also known as phagocytosis. Let us
Yeah, ma'am, clear. So students, did you understand it?
Yes, is this clear to everyone? Did you all understand?
Yeah.
About amoeba? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just take that out for you. So if you look at the different body parts of amoeba, see, amoeba is a unicellular organism and it changes its shape. Now and then it changes its shape because of the uh, cytoplasm. It is able to produce the pseudopodia. So wherever it wants to produce the pseudopodia, it produces. Because of that, it has the ability to change its shape. And where do we find amoeba? Amoeba is usually found in the water bodies such as ponds, in the lakes, okay, in the rivers. It is unicellular and it causes different diseases also. It is not a very useful type of organism, unicellular organism. And if you look at the body structure of this amoeba, you can see that it contains the food vacuole in which the digestion occurs. It produces the pseudopodia, okay, and there's cytoplasm. We can divide it into the ectoplasm and the endoplasm. Okay, so in amoeba especially, the movement will happen through the pseudopodia. Okay, pseudopodia, how they are formed? Because the plasma membrane, it will be produced out with the help of the cytoplasm. Okay, so finger-like structures are formed which are called as the pseudopodia, which are the false legs in amoeba, and with the help of these pseudopodia, the amoeba moves from one place to another, and along with that it uses the pseudopodia to get its food also. Okay, so at one time there can be multiple pseudopodia at one particular instance. It's not that amoeba is going to produce only one or two pseudopodia at a time. It can produce multiple pseudopodia at a time. Okay, and the body structure of amoeba, it comprises of the cytoplasm, the plasma membrane, and the nucleus. The basic cell structure. Every cell, you know, why it comprises of three important parts. The first important part is the nucleus, which is the center of the cell. Then the second important part is the cytoplasm, which contains all the other organelles of the cell. And the covering of that cell is called as a cell membrane or the plasma membrane. So amoeba contains these three parts. Okay. And in amoeba, we can differentiate the cytoplasm into two layers. The outermost layer, we call it as the ectoplasm, and the inner layer is called as the endoplasm. Okay. Is it clear till here, everyone? Are you able to understand?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So amoeba contains other cell organelles also, like the contractile vacuole is present. The contractile vacuole's main function is to throw the waste material out of the body. Okay. Amoeba's waste materials will be thrown out of the body through the contractile vacuole. And the method of intake of the food by amoeba, that is called as a phagocytosis. Just now you have seen the video in which you just now learned what is phagocytosis. Means the pseudopodia, they are going to engulf the organism, okay, the food particle of amoeba, and it is pushed into the cytoplasm. So that process is called as a phagocytosis, or we can even call it as pinocytosis. Okay. Then reproduction in amoeba occurs by asexual methods and mostly by the binary fission. Okay. So amoeba, it can form a cyst also when the conditions are favorable. It exists as a amoeba, like an organism, and if the conditions are not favorable for it, it develops a thick layer around itself, and it is called as a cyst, so that it can survive in the unfavorable conditions. Okay. So I hope everyone is clear with this amoeba and you have revised your knowledge regarding this. Already you have studied about amoeba. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let us study about I was talking to you about the cell actually, and we are talking about the different shapes of the cell. So here you can see that the cells are of different shapes. Some of the cells will be rounded. Which cells will be rounded? Can you give me one example of rounded cells?
Red blood cell.
Red blood cells are rounded. Okay. And which are these cells which are elongated? These are the muscle cells. Their shape will be spindle-like. They are elongated cells. So cells, different cells are exhibiting different shapes also. Not only size and number, they exhibit different shape also. Okay, in our brain, we have a number of nerve cells. These nerve cells are all branched. You can see like here root-like structures you can see in the nerve cells. So these are all the branches which you are able to see. The dendrites we call them. Okay, so the nerve cells are branch structures. The cells in the blood, they are spherical in shape. Some of them, again, if you study about their detailed structure, you will get to know that they are biconcave, they are convex in shape. Different shapes are there. That means each cell shows variation in number, it shows variation in size, it shows variation in shape also. Okay, so these are the different shapes of the cells which you can see. Now let's come to the main topic, that is cell biology we are studying, and we have known that cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. Now what is this cell made up of? What are its components? Okay, so the basic components of cells are a cell membrane, cytoplasm, and the nucleus. Okay, now I want any one of you to tell me
Miss,
what. Yes,
what about mitochondria?
mitochondria are the cell organelles. These are the cell organelles which are present in the cytoplasm. That is, it is not a basic component, we can say. The basic components are three. Mitochondria are found in the cytoplasm. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. So in animal cells, you find cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. In the plant cell also, you will find all these things. But there is one thing which is extra in the plant cell. Can you tell me what is that extra thing the plant cells contain?
Chloroplast.
Chloroplast, of course. And what else?
Central vacuum. Large.
Cell
Large central
cell
vacuum.
wall. It contains the cell wall. Animal cells, they do not have the cell wall. That's why they are not so rigid. Okay. Whereas the plant cells, they are very rigid. They contain a thick cell wall around them. Do you know what is the cell wall made up of? What is the cell wall made up of? What does it contain?
Cellulose.
It contains cellulose. Yes, very good. So cell wall is made up of a substance called as cellulose, which is found only in the plant cells. Whereas the animal cells, they do not have the cell wall. And in the cytoplasm of these plant cells or the animal cells, we find different organelles like the mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosomes, chloroplasts, lysosomes, etc. Have you all studied about these structures in detail, like mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosomes? Do you know their functions, what they are made up of? And means what do they help the cell in? What is their main function in the cell?
Yes.
Yes? Yes, can you tell me what is the function of the mitochondria? What do we otherwise call the mitochondria?
The powerhouse.
The powerhouse of the cell. Okay, that means in which process are they involved?
Cellular respiration.
Very good. They are involved in the cellular respiration. Very good. And ribosomes, do you know what are they involved in?
Ribosomes in the transportation of proteins, I think.
Protein synthesis. Correct. You are right. Protein synthesis. So see, till 8th grade, you have heard about these terms and you just know the basic information about these cell organelles. But in your 9th grade, when you move on towards cell biology, you are going to study about these organelles in a much more detailed manner. Okay. Something else extra will be added to this. You are going to learn something new about mitochondria, something which you don't know. Okay. So extra information about all these organelles is given to you, which we are going to study in the 9th grade. So this is the structure of the cell. If you look at, this is the Golgi apparatus, the ribosomes, the lysosomes, the endoplasmic reticulum, okay, the nucleus, the mitochondria, the cell membrane, the cytoplasm. Okay. So you all know about these structures, right? Do you remember them, all of them? What is this endoplasmic reticulum? Endoplasmic reticulum is also of two types. Can you tell me what are the two types of endoplasmic reticulum? Yes? Can you tell me the two types of endoplasmic reticulum? 7? Any idea? Heman? Fikir? Anyone?
I think nucleus and cell membrane.
No.
Ma'am,
Yes, Seven?
endoplasmic reticulum. I can tell you its function, but I'm not sure about the categories. But I think that the function is the systems of channels to transport synthesized substances in a cell.
Very good. Yes, that is the function. See, the endoplasmic reticulum also, it is of two types. Okay. The first type is called as the rough endoplasmic reticulum, and the second one is called as the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. That again in detail you will be studying in your 9th grade. Why we say it as a rough endoplasmic reticulum, why it is said as a smooth endoplasmic reticulum, what is the difference in the function. Okay, so that all we are going to study about in the 9th grade. Okay, any doubts you have in the cell structure? Shall I proceed? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now let us talk about the cell membrane. The cell membrane is also called as a plasma membrane. It is semi-permeable membrane. Now, what is this semi-permeable membrane? What do you mean by semi-permeable membrane? Can you tell me? What is the meaning of semi-permeable membrane?
What the meaning of cell membrane is, ma'am?
Yes?
Okay, so cell membrane is a part that controls the movement of substances that get in and out of a cell.
Yes. It allows semi-permeable means permeability means allowing anyone. Semi means half it is going to allow it. It means it is going to select. We can also call it as a selectively permeable membrane. We can also call it as a semi-permeable membrane. Means it is going to allow some substances to enter and it is going to stop certain substances to enter into the cell. The entry and the exit of substances in the cell is controlled by the cell membrane because it is semi-permeable. Now, there is a particular process which is involved in this passage of substances from the cell membrane. Okay, two important processes are involved. Like we have diffusion, we have osmosis, which you will be studying in the 9th grade. In detail, we have to study about these processes because the cell membrane is going to carry out, and diffusion and osmosis are must. Without that, daily life activities cannot be performed. So these processes are done through the cell membrane because of its semi-permeability. Okay, and what else the cell membrane does? It separates the cell from the other cells also. Okay, that means it is going to separate the different cells from each other, and it even gives the shape to the cell. Okay, so it is semi-permeable. This is the most important function, and because of being semi-permeable, it is involved in two important processes which are required for any cell's existence. Okay, clear about the cell membrane?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Next one is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a jelly-like substance which is found between the cell membrane and the nucleus. Okay, and it contains all the different organelles of the cell in it. All the other organelles like the mitochondria, the chloroplast, the ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, they are all present inside this cytoplasm. So this is the liquid structure, the jelly-like substance, okay, which contains other cell organelles. So this is very important, of course. Then the next important organ or component of the cell is the nucleus. Nucleus is spherical in shape, it is round in shape, and mostly it is situated towards the center. Okay, then do you know how the which lining covers the nucleus? What covers the nucleus in turn? Nucleus is covered by what? Like cell is covered by the cell membrane. Nucleus is also covered within the cell.
Nuclear membrane?
Yes, it is covered by the nuclear membrane. Nucleus is covered by the nuclear membrane. Again, this has pores on its surface, which allows the materials to flow from the cytoplasm into the nucleus. Okay. So the nucleus in turn is covered by the nuclear membrane, which is porous, and it also allows the movement of material between the cytoplasm and inside the nucleus. And the nucleus contains a nucleolus. Okay, and in the nucleolus there will be the chromosomes which help in the which carry the genes which help in the transfer of the characters from the parents to the offsprings. Okay.
Ma'am, one second. I found from the 9th standard. I just found a video of semi-permeable membrane. Can you just share the screen? I will show them.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
you
please
can.
allow.
I allowed, sir.
No, you have disabled again. Check.
I have enabled, sir. Allow participants for. You
Yeah,
can.
now it's fine. One second.
Yeah.
Okay, can you all see?
Yes.
Okay, guys. So this is a video from your 9th standard. Okay, that when you will go to 9th standard. So this is the content that we have created. As ma'am said, you will be starting there. So we'll just show you a very small 1-minute video about permeable and semi-permeable membrane. Okay.
A permeable membrane is one that permits the movement of all kinds of.
Yeah, can see. So all the particles which are there, they can easily pass through this. So it's a permeable membrane.
Of molecules, including solvents as well as solutes through it. However,
Now look at semi-permeable membrane that ma'am said.
if a membrane allows only water or some other solvents to pass through it and restricts solutes like salts and sugars, it is called semi-permeable or.
Yeah, so the blue molecules that you see are water, so they can easily pass through this semi-permeable membrane, whereas salts and sugar, which are the pink and the purple balls, they cannot. So this is what ma'am was trying to explain. Yeah, ma'am, over to you. So everything we have prepared for you for 9th standard, guys. Okay. Yeah, ma'am, you can continue.
Okay, sir. Okay, so we were talking about the nucleus. Okay, so is it clear about the nucleus? Already you have studied about this. I don't think you might be having any queries related to this. So shall I proceed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now we will talk a little bit about the differences between the plant cell and the animal cell. Okay. Now I want you people to say me, what do you think is the main difference between the plant cell and the animal cell? Let me just call out a name of a student. Arsema. Arsema, please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you tell me what is the main difference between the plant cell and the animal cell?
Is it because the plant has cytoplasm?
Plant has
No,
cytoplasm.
I mean not cytoplasm, chloroplast.
Only this is the difference, that plant cells have the chloroplast, animal cells do not have.
No, and the plant has cell wall.
Plants have the cell wall, animal cells do not have the cell wall. Very good. So see, two differences we got. The plant cells have the cell wall, animal cells do not have the cell wall. Plant cells contain the chloroplast, animal cells do not contain the chloroplast. Apart from that,
The plant has a large vacuole.
yes, the plant cells contain a large vacuole, whereas in the animal cells also vacuoles will be present. Vacuoles may be present in animal cells also. It's not that vacuoles are absent in the animal cells, but their size will be very small. Whereas in the plant cell, most of the space of the cell will be occupied by the vacuole itself. Okay, and the nucleus will be pushed towards the side. So this is the basic difference between the plant cell and the animal cell. Any other difference you think is there between the plant cell and the animal cell?
Can
Anyone
I tell?
want- Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Seven? Yes.
So the other difference is that a plant cell is larger in size and an animal cell is smaller in size. And
Yes.
also a plant cell has a regular shape due to the cell wall, but
Yes.
an animal cell has an irregular shape due to the lack of a cell wall.
Correct, absolutely right. So these are the basic differences between the plant cell and the animal cell. Okay. So here I have made a table for you all. Now I want you people to answer. I'll just call out the name. Please, that particular student is going to answer me now. Fikir, please unmute. Fikir, unmute. Okay, Michael, unmute. Are you able to hear me? Fikir, Michael, Heman, are you there?
Yes. Hello?
Yes. Heman, can you tell me? Can you just complete this table, Heman? Nucleus, is it present in the plant cell and in the animal cell?
Yes, it's both. It's present in both.
It's present in all the cells. Nucleus, without the nucleus, cell cannot exist. Okay. And what about the nuclear membrane?
I think no. It's only present in plant cell.
No. Nuclear membrane is also present in both plant cell and animal cells. Then cytoplasm.
It's
Cytoplasm. No need to think so much for that, Heman.
In both cells.
In both the cells, we have studied that it is a basic component of the cell. 3 basic components we have studied. What are those 3 basic components? Will you tell me? Yes, Heman, what are the 3 basic components of the cell? What happened?
Can I tell you?
Yes, Fevan, you tell. Heman, please pay attention and listen. Yes, Fevan, say.
Cell membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm.
Yes, cell membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. I am telling you this from such a long time that these are the 3 structures which we have found, and we have given description also about that. Right, Heman, did you get now? What are the 3 basic components of the cell?
Cell membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm.
Yes. So cytoplasm, of course, it is present in the plant cell and in the animal cell. You should say it at one time only, okay? Then plastids, tell me, what about plastids, Heman?
It's only present in plant cell.
Yes. What about animal cells? Are they present, plastids, in the animal cells?
No.
Okay. What about the vacuole?
It's only present in plant cell.
In animal cells, they are not found vacuoles. They are found.
No. It is. I'm sorry. Yes, it is. It's present in both cells.
Yes, they are smaller in size. Whereas in the plant cell, they are very large in size. Almost the entire space of the cell is occupied by the vacuole. But in animal cells, they occupy very small place. Okay, so these are the basic differences between the plant cell and the animal cell. Now we have studied about amoeba. Now we are going to move towards the next unicellular organism, that is the paramecium. Okay, so the body of the paramecium, you can see that it is covered by the cilia. Okay, entire body, you can see the hair-like structures around it. They are called as the cilia, which help in the movement. Okay, and it contains 2 type of nucleus. The paramecium contains 2 nucleus in it. First nucleus is a very large one, and the second nucleus is smaller in size. The larger nucleus is called as the macronucleus, and the smaller one is called as a micronucleus. So nucleus is there. There is a cell wall. There's a cell membrane is there, and the cytoplasm is also there. It contains the contractile vacuole. Okay, and special feature is the oral groove. You can see here the oral groove, which makes paramecium asymmetrical. Okay, so paramecium also carries out all the basic functions of life, like the life processes which I said you: nutrition, respiration, excretion, reproduction, circulation. All these processes are carried out even in this unicellular organism. Now, how do they do? See, first of all, where does it occur? It is found in the freshwater ponds, pools, ditches, streams, rivers, etc. Okay, and it helps. I said you earlier that it moves with the help of the cilia. Okay, and these cilia also help it to capture the food, like in amoeba, how the pseudopodia help in locomotion as well as to engulf the food. Similarly, in paramecium, cilia are going to perform both the functions, locomotion as well as help it to capture the food. Then, how does it do the nutrition? Nutrition is it ingests the bacteria and it is holozoic. Now, holozoic means what? Holozoic mode of nutrition. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by holozoic nutrition? Anyone? What do you mean by holozoic nutrition? Fevan, can you tell me? What happened?
Miss,
Yes.
can I try?
Yes, say please.
I think it means that it eats multiple things.
No, it's not multiple things. See, children, nutrition means the process of taking the food and utilizing it to get the energy for the body. So different organisms, no, they exhibit different modes of nutrition. Like plants, we say the plants are autotrophic. You know about this term, autotrophs? Plants are autotrophs, you know this thing?
Yes.
Means they can prepare their own food, right? There are some organisms which cannot prepare their own food. Those are called as the heterotrophs. Now, in the heterotrophs, we can again classify them as the holozoic, saprozoic, parasitic, etc. Now, particularly if you talk about the holozoic, means these organisms will take the food inside their body and the digestion occurs within their body. That is called as a holozoic mode of nutrition. They take the solid food particles, they engulf it, and the digestion occurs within the body. Okay. Whereas fungi, if you have seen about talked about fungi, what you see that the fungi, they are not going to take the food inside. They will grow on the decomposing substances and they will digest the food, dissolve the food outside their body only, and they are going to absorb the nutrients from the surfaces. Okay, so digestion process is not occurring within their body, but it occurs outside only. So that sort of nutrition is called as a saprozoic nutrition. Whereas holozoic means the nutrition, the digestion which occurs within the body of the organism. So in paramecium, the mode of nutrition is holozoic. Okay. And digestion is intracellular, means it occurs within the cell, not outside the cell. And respiration and excretion processes, again, they take place through their body surface through a process called as diffusion, which is a very important process. So just keep in mind that diffusion process is very, very important for you because it is involved in all the organisms, and without these processes, life can't exist only. Okay. And talking about excretory system in paramecium, it is also done through the contractile vacuole and the cytoproct. And reproduction in paramecium, it occurs by binary fission, and sexual reproduction is also shown by paramecium, and that is by the method of conjugation. You have studied about all these processes in detail in the 8th standard, right? Conjugation, binary fission, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is about paramecium. Clear, everyone? Any doubts you have?
Yes. No.
Okay. Okay. Now what is this? Which is there on the screen?
Euglena.
Euglena. Okay. So can you tell me what is the special feature of Euglena? It is a unicellular
It prepares its own food.
It's
At
photosynthetic.
night.
Yes,
It's
see all the it can perform photosynthesis. It is an animal, it is a unicellular organism. We know that plants, till now we have studied that plants only can prepare their own food because they have the chloroplast, they contain the chlorophyll pigment, they perform the process of photosynthesis and they can synthesize their food. But Euglena also contains the green colored pigment and it can also perform photosynthesis. It is unicellular organism. It performs photosynthesis. If you observe the body structure of it, you can see that for movement purpose, it has a special hair-like structure, which is called as a flagellum. Okay, in amoeba, we have seen pseudopodia. In paramecium, you have studied about the cilia, which help in locomotion. Whereas when we come to Euglena, they have a flagellum, which helps it in moving from one place to another. Okay, its body is like a spindle shaped body it has. It contains the cytoplasm, the cell membrane, and the nucleus. Okay, and flagella is there, and the stigma is there. That is photoreceptor. Okay, and contractile vacuoles are also present. So let us see about this little bit. So euglena is a eukaryotic type of a cell. Okay, and it exhibits two types of nutrition. First type of nutrition is because it contains the chloroplast, it can prepare its own food. So we can say that it is an autotroph, and it can even capture the food. It can even capture its food, other organisms like amoeba, like paramecium, and it can engulf those organisms, other organisms also. So it can even exhibit heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So it is both autotrophic and heterotrophic. Okay, when it wants to produce its own food, it will utilize the chloroplast, and because of the presence of the chloroplast, its body will be green in color, and it can photosynthesize, and it can prepare its own food. Okay, and it can even exhibit the process of phagocytosis, which you have seen in amoeba. It is going to engulf the food. Okay, so euglena, you can call it as because it is exhibiting autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition, you can even say that it is a mixotroph. Okay, and I said you that it can move from one place to another. Locomotion is carried out because of the presence of the flagellum. So flagella help in the movement of euglena. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes. Now the stigma, the dark color structure which you have seen, it is sensitive towards the light, and it will help euglena to move, okay, towards the light whenever it wants to perform the photosynthesis. This structure which you are able to see, the dark color structure over here, this is the stigma. Okay, this is photosensitive, and it contains the chloroplast within it, which will form the process of photosynthesis. Clear?
Yes.
Contractile vacuole, as it is doing the function of removing the unwanted material in amoeba, it is doing the same function in paramecium. Similarly, in euglena also, contractile vacuole, what it is going to do, it is going to remove the excess water from the reservoir. The unwanted substances from the body of euglena will be removed out through the contractile vacuole. Okay? Clear,
Okay.
everyone? Yes. Now, what is this? Can you tell me
Bacteria.
what this is? The bacteria. Okay, can you tell me what is the speciality of the bacterial cell? Yes, what is the speciality of the bacterial cell?
It has flagella.
Okay, that is euglena also has flagella. We cannot say that is a speciality of bacteria.
It does not have a nucleus.
It does not have a proper nucleus. Okay, but nuclear material will be there. Yes, you are right. A proper well-defined nucleus is not present in the bacteria. The chromosomes, the genetic material. Yes, Hemant, what do you wanted to say?
It lacks membrane.
Pardon, I didn't get you.
It lacks membrane. It lacks membrane structures.
Okay, membranous structures. Yes, yes. It doesn't have the membrane bounded structures you want to say. Okay, yeah, it doesn't have. See, the main thing which I wanted is it contains a cell wall. We have studied that cell wall is found only in the plant cells, right? The plant cells contain the cell wall, but the animal cells, they do not have the cell wall. But bacteria, they contain the cell wall. You can see here, they contain 3 layers surrounding them. The first layer is the cell membrane. Okay, outside the cell membrane there is a cell wall, and when the conditions are not favorable, the bacteria will even produce a hard substance around it that is called as a capsule. Okay, so
okay,
this is the speciality of bacteria, that they are animals, they are the prokaryotic organisms, but they contain the cell wall, which is found only in the plant cells. Okay, so this is a different feature of the bacteria which you have to remember. Then they contain the flagellum, and these hair-like structures which you are able to see, they are called as the pili, which help them in the process of reproduction. Okay, and they are prokaryotic. Now, what is the meaning of prokaryotic? Prokaryotic, eukaryotic. Do you know this?
Answer.
Yes, Fikir?
Eukaryotics are those who have a true nucleus,
Yes.
whereas prokaryotic doesn't have a true nucleus.
Correct. Very good. See, prokaryotes do not have a true nucleus, and the eukaryotes contain a true nucleus. That means a well-defined nucleus with the nuclear membrane, the nucleolus, everything, they are properly found in the eukaryotic cells. Whereas in bacterial cell here, you are able to see, we don't say it as a nucleus, but we are saying it as a nucleoid. The chromosomes, the DNA, the genes are all, spread here in the cytoplasm. They are not covered anywhere properly. They are just sprinkled in the cytoplasm here and there. They are present. They are not membrane bounded. And the other membrane bounded structures like the ribosomes are of course there, but the mitochondria, the chloroplast, the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi complex, all these other organelles, they are not found in the prokaryotic cells like the bacterial cells. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? Any doubts you have?
Yes.
Okay. So till now we have studied about this. Yes, 4 unicellular organisms we have seen. Okay, and we know that these unicellular organisms, they contain only one cell, and the cell is so minute we cannot see it through the naked eye. So what do we need to see these microscopic organisms? Can you tell me which instrument are you going to use to see the microorganisms?
What did you say?
To see these microscopic organisms,
Microscope.
we are going to use a microscope. So have you studied about the microscope in your previous grades?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So which type of microscope have you studied? You have studied about the compound microscope, yes?
Electron.
Yes.
Compound microscope. Electron microscope, have you studied about yourself?
I know it.
You know it. Very good. What is this electron microscope? Can you tell me then? What do you know about it?
It's special from compound microscope because it lets you see microorganisms with color.
Okay. Through the compound microscope, you cannot see through color. You cannot stain the microorganisms when you are using the compound microscope. You mean to say that? See, it's not regarding the coloring pattern actually. It is regarding the magnification. How well you are able to see. Okay. Why do we use a microscope? Because the organism is very small and your eye is not able to see that. That's why we are using the extra magnification power of the microscopes. We know that the microscope consists of different lenses. The eyepiece lens is there, the objective lenses are there. Okay, these objective lenses will be having different powers like the 10x, the 40x, the 100x, 80x. So we are going to magnify them. Yes, you are going to magnify these cells, means you are going to see the enlarged picture of the object under the microscope. When you put anything under the microscope, you will be seeing a larger image of that object. That's why you are using the microscope, no? Because your eye is not able to see. You are going to enlarge that particular image and see it under the microscope. So we use a microscope for that purpose. Okay. So you have studied about already a compound microscope, what it comprises of and how it is going to function. Yes. Have you studied about it? In 8th grade, you had, I think, 7th grade, you studied about the compound microscope. So in the 9th grade, when you are going to now, you will be studying in detail about this compound microscope. Okay. And you will be getting to know about the different terms which are related to the microscope. And we are even going to study about the electron microscope, which is used nowadays mostly because its magnification is much higher when compared to the compound microscope. Now, what is this magnification? How does the electron microscope, give larger images, clear images, all these functions, how it is prepared, all these things you will be studying in the 9th grade. Okay. So is it clear till here, everyone? Did you all understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is what you have studied about cell biology till now. Now in the 9th grade, you will be studying about the different types of microscopes and you are going to study about these cell organelles, okay, the parts of the cell in detail. And extra thing which you are going to study about is the process of diffusion and the process of osmosis. So cell membrane, which is selectively permeable, we have seen that it allows only certain substances to enter in and certain substances to go out. So there are different processes of transport within the cell, diffusion, osmosis, other processes are also there. So you will be studying about these processes in cell biology in your 9th grade. Yes. So do you think it's going to be very interesting for your next grade now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So with this, we have done with the cell biology, which you have studied up till now. So we just wait for the next academic year to begin, and let us study for the further concepts of it. Yes.
Okay, so you're done, ma'am, for today?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So everyone, so I hope it was a fruitful session again, revising the old concepts and giving you idea about what you're going to learn in the 9th grade. So what I'll do again is upload this chapter tomorrow, go through it, be well prepared, because you know what we found is still people have to revise the concepts. So please do it very carefully, understand everything what ma'am taught, and in the test that we'll have on Saturday, these topics will be there. Okay. So all the best, happy studies, and I will meet you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be doing chemistry. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. See you. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Ciao.
Okay.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.